हरे कृष्ण। जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, जय गोपी जन वल्लभ गिरिवरधारी, यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन, यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन, यशोदानंदन व्रज जन रंजन, यामुनतीर वनचारी, यामुनतीर वनचारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव कुंज बिहारी, जय राधा माधव राधा माधव राधे, जय पंचतत्व जय पंचतत्व, जय पंचतत्व जय पंचतत्व, जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय, जय गौरनिताय जय गौरनिताय, जय प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद प्रभुपाद, जय प्रभुपाद, जय जय गुरुदेव गुरुदेव गुरुदेव, जय गुरुदेव, श्रील प्रभुपाद की, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की Nitai Gaur Premanande. Hare Krishna. Thank you once again, dear devotees, for kindly assembling here today, this morning. We are discussing the next verse, Srimad Bhagavatam, first canto, third chapter, verse number 6. Today we'll have to end by 9:15 maximum. So I'll begin with the Mangalacharan, and there is a lot to discuss today because the verse has something very important. But we'll begin with Mangalacharan, auspicious invocations. Most of us know these verses. You can kindly sing along with me. Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Soyam Rupah Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swamin Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Desha Tarine Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratvishe Namah. He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanusute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So dear devotees, we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 3, verse number 6. The verse and the synonyms are displayed on the screen. You can kindly repeat after me. Sa eva prathamam deva Kaumaram sargamashritah Chachar dushcharam brahma Brahmacharyam akhanditam. Synonyms. Sa, that. Eva, certainly. Prathamam, first. Deva, the Supreme Lord. Kaumaram, named the Kumaras, unmarried. Sargam, creation. Ashritaha, under. Chachara, performed. Dushcharam, very difficult to do. Brahma, in the order of Brahman. Brahmacharyam, under discipline to realize the absolute Brahman. Akhanditam, unbroken. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace Abhay Charanaravindra Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, Jagadguru Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. First of all, in the beginning of creation, there were 4 unmarried sons of Brahma, the Kumaras, who, being situated in a vow of celibacy, underwent severe austerities for realization of the absolute truth. Purport. The creation of the material world is effected, maintained, and then again annihilated at certain intervals. So there are different names of the creations in terms of the particular types of Brahma, the father of the living beings in the creation. The Kumaras, as above mentioned, appeared in the Kaumara creation of the material world. And to teach us the process of Brahman realization, they underwent a severe type of disciplinary action as bachelors. These Kumaras are empowered incarnations, and before executing the severe type of disciplinary actions, all of them became qualified Brahmanas. This example suggests that one must first acquire the qualifications of a Brahmana, not simply by birth, but also by quality. And then one can undergo the process of Brahman realization. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripam tamaham vande Shri Gurum Deenataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Devam. Hare Krishna. So dear devotees, today's verse is about the first incarnation which was accepted by the second Purusha named Garbhodaka Shai Vishnu. Yesterday we discussed second Vishnu, Garbhodaka Shai Vishnu, and how he is the dwar, the gate for all the incarnations in this particular material world. The verse is Prathamam, in the first incarnation. Srila Sridhar Swami says first here does not mean that this was the absolute first incarnation in this universe. For the sake of numbering, Srila Sridhar Swami says the number has been given as first. So Sa Eva, that Garbhodaka Shai Vishnu, first manifested in the Kaumara Sarga, in the day of Brahma, which is known as Kaumar. This name was received because the 4 Kumaras appeared on that particular day. The 4 Kumaras are actually Jiva Tattva. They are not Vishnu Tattva. But since they are performing some task of Vishnu, therefore they are also known as incarnations of Vishnu. Such incarnations are technically known as Shakti Avesh Avatar. Shakti Avesh. When a Jiva is given the Avesh, is given the potency, particular type of Shakti.
What does that mean,
Avesh means to become overcome by. There is the Sanskrit term Avishta. So Avishta means completely overcome by a particular potency. So for example, Narad Muni will also be mentioned as an incarnation of Bhagavan. But is Narad Muni Jiva Tattva or Vishnu Tattva? Jiva Tattva. Because previous life he was son of a maid servant. He is Jiva Tattva. So how is he going to be mentioned as an incarnation of Vishnu? Because whenever a jiva performs the task of Vishnu, then that jiva becomes known as Shakti Avesh Avatar. So Narad Muni is invested with Bhakti Shakti. So Narad Muni is Bhakti Shakti Avesh Avatar. So that is Narad Muni. Similarly, Parshuram is also Jiva Tattva. But he is invested with Samhar Shakti, the potency for killing. So Parshuram is Samhar Shakti Avesh Avatar. So similarly, any jiva, when they take a particular Shakti of Vishnu and they perform the task of Vishnu, those jivas are known as Shakti Avesh Avatar. So the four Kumaras are mentioned here as one incarnation, not four separate incarnations. Because all four have been invested with the same Shakti. That is the Jnana Shakti of Bhagavan. Because the four Kumaras are originally Brahmavadis. They are impersonalists. And who is an impersonalist? One who follows the path of Jnana Yoga. And what is Jnana Yoga? Can anybody tell me what is Jnana Yoga? Knowledge about Brahman. Wonderful. So, many times Jnana is translated as knowledge. But in Shastra, Jnana means a specific type of knowledge. Knowledge of the impersonal Brahman. Now let us try to understand what is the impersonal Brahman. Dear devotees, what is Brahman? Can anybody tell me what is the impersonal Brahman? Lord's effulgence. That is Brahma Jyoti. What is Brahma? Huh? Absolute truth, okay. Aspect of God, okay. Dear devotees, I will specify in one statement what is Brahma. Please repeat after me. In the Upanishads it is said, please repeat, Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma. Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. Everything here is Brahman. Dear devotees, whatever objects you can see with your eyes, whatever you cannot see, there is one substance which is underneath all of that. That substance doesn't react with anything or anybody. It just exists as the foundation of all existence. That is known as Brahman. It is very difficult to understand because you cannot see Brahman with the eyes. You cannot feel Brahman with the sense of touch. You cannot smell Brahman, you cannot taste Brahman, you cannot hear Brahman. Brahman exists. A fish in a large ocean does not understand what is water. Do you know why? Huh? Everywhere around the fish is only one substance. What is that? Water. It has not seen anything besides water. Inside the fish's body is also what? Water. Outside the fish's body is also what? Water. Dear devotees, similar is the case with Brahma. Inside us is also what? Outside us is also? Our entire body is also made out of what? Brahma. Therefore it is said, Sarvam Khalvidam Brahma. Everything is Brahma. So, Brahma does not have any particular shape or size, taste, form, etc. How do you understand such Brahma? Therefore, in the 12th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says it is very difficult to understand impersonal Brahman. Because human beings have senses and they can only see form. But for human beings to understand that which is formless, qualityless, shapeless, is very difficult. Brahman can be experienced only in one sense organ, that is the heart. So the four Kumaras accepted this impersonal understanding of Bhagavan, which is Brahma realization. They do not want to see the absolute truth having a form. They want to perceive the formless aspect of the absolute. That is Brahma realization. Dear devotees, those who perform this type of a sadhana, their aim is to get liberated from this world and to merge into Brahma. Because you are what? Tell me, Prabhu. Then you are not speaking like a Brahmavadi. Speak like a Brahmavadi. Who are you?
I'm Brahma.
Wonderful. If you are Brahma, why are you having a limited form? Because you are Brahma who has become covered by Maya. I hope you are able to understand. You are Brahma who has become covered by what? Maya.
That is why I said, Aham Brahmasmi.
Of course. Now you realize. Yeah. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. No, it is a statement in the Upanishads. Aham Brahmasmi. It is quoted by the Mayavadis, but it is originally a statement in the Upanishads. Sarvam Khalu Idam Brahma is a statement in Upanishads. So, according to Brahmavadis, who are you? Brahma. But Brahma is not supposed to have a form. Why are you having a form? Because you are Brahma who has a covering of Maya. In an ocean, sometimes you see water gets covered by bubble. A little portion of water gets covered by bubble. And when that bubble is destroyed, water again becomes one with the ocean, isn't it? So similarly, for the time being, you are covered by Maya. Once the covering of Maya is removed, you will lose all form and you will again become what? Brahman. I hope you are able to understand. You should understand the philosophy, because it's important to understand what is impersonal philosophy. So this philosophy has nothing to do with Krishna prema and all those things. Nothing. Just remove the covering of Maya and realize that you are Brahma. That is the aim of this philosophy.
Brahma and Bhakti Yoga, what is different?
Bhakti Yoga, You worship a form. You accept the form as eternal. Form of deity is eternal or not eternal? Eternal. So for the Brahmavadi, the deity form is also eternal, but it is subordinate to the impersonal aspect. For the devotee, the form is superior and the impersonal is inferior. For the Brahmavadi, the impersonal is superior and the form is inferior. Alright? But there is a difference between becoming a Brahmavadi and a devotee. The end result of a Brahmavadi is merging into Brahma, Brahma Jyoti. The end result of a devotee is exchange of bhakti ras with Bhagavan forever. So that is the difference in the outcome. Now you can decide what you want to be. But the Srimad Bhagavatam is for those who wish to become devotees. The first major problem in Brahman realization is attraction to name, form, etc. of the material world. If you have any attachment for any name or form in the material world, you cannot realize that everything is Brahman. Because any form by default is against the concept of Brahman. So if you get attached to any form, then you are walking in the opposite direction of Brahman realization. Therefore, those who are attached to this path must get rid of all attachment to material objects. And what is the biggest attachment in the material world? Wonderful. Attachment to the opposite gender is the biggest attachment in the material world. Therefore, the last line says, Brahmacharyam akhanditam. The 4 Kumaras became situated in a vow of Brahmacharya. And what is Brahmacharya translated as? Celibacy. Because if you are able to give up the greatest attachment in the material world, it is called Pradhan Malla Nyaya, the logic of the strongest wrestler. If you want to fight 100 wrestlers, the most intelligent thing is to fight the strongest one first, in front of the remaining 99. Because if you defeat the strongest wrestler in front of the remaining 99, then what will happen to the remaining 99? They will say, no, thank you, Hare Krišna. So, this is called Pradhan Malla Nyaya, the logic of the strongest wrestler. Krishna and Balram followed this when they entered the arena of Kamsa. They fought with Chanur and Mushtik, because they were the strongest amongst Kamsa's wrestlers. Once Chanur and Mushtik were killed, the others ran away for their life. So Krishna and Balram had the tusk of that elephant, Kubalaya Pida, and it was drenched in the blood of Chanur and Mushtik. And they were standing there in their arms with that tusk of Kubalaya Pida, drenched in blood. Who's next? Nobody's there. So, this is how you deal with the situation. Therefore, Brahmacharya. What is the use of Brahmacharya for those who are not impersonalists? This question needs to be asked. Because austerities, renunciation, Brahmacharya, they are also practiced by those who are on the path of Bhakti Yoga. Isn't it? So, what is the value of brahmacharya? In order to understand that, first and foremost, we should understand what is the power of lust or kama in this material world. Kama is so powerful, it is glorified by the previous poets. There is a nice verse in glorification of kama. Till now you might have heard verses criticizing kama, but here a verse glorifying kama. Please repeat after me. Ekam vastu dvidha kartum bahavaha santi dhanvinah jayatyekah smaro dhanvi dvayoraikyam karoti yah. See, if you want to defeat somebody, you should know that person nicely. Don't run away from that person. You should know that person nicely. Who is the person you want to overcome? So it is described, ekam vastu dvidha kartum bahavaha santi dhanvinah. There are many bowmen, archers in this world, who using their arrows can split one object into two. Jayati ekah smaro dhanvi. But there is only one bowman, only one archer. When he shoots his arrow, instead of one becoming two, two become one. I hope you are able to understand. No? When Kamadev shoots his arrow, two people combine into one. Or two people come close to each other. Usually, arrows cause one object to be split into two. But this arrow brings two people close to each other. Alright? So there are many expert bowmen in this world capable of splitting an object into two using their sharp arrows. All glories, however, unto that expert bowman named Cupid, Kama, who unites two into one through his arrows. Dear devotees, I have specified previously in the Padyavali talk that there is Kama who is so powerful that no matter which sadhana we undertake to overcome Kama, Kama enters into that sadhana and overcomes us. These are the direct words of Kama, lust, in the Mahabharata. Please repeat after me. Naham shakyo nupayena hantum bhutena kenachit yo mam prayatate hantum gyatva praharane balam tasya tasmin praharane punah pradurbhavamyaham. Kamadev says, Cupid says, na aham shakyo anupayena hantum bhutena kenachit. I cannot be killed by any means by any living entity. Yo mam prayatate hantum, one who tries to kill me, gyatva praharane balam, thinking that I have a very strong way of defeating Kamadev. Tasya tasmin praharane, in that very means I enter and end up conquering him instead. So I had given the example of somebody who, Shishi Panchatattva ki jai. Somebody who tries to conquer Kama by eating only once a day. I had given that example. Soon your reputation spreads around. Hari Parshad Das eats only once a day. And that reputation becomes the cause of attachment to the opposite gender. Another example is Saubhari Muni. Saubhari Muni was underwater, disconnected from the world outside. But in his mind, because of his austerities, he still had hope that I am such an austere person. Definitely I should be able to secure a nice match for myself. Who will not marry such an austere person as myself? So Saubhari Muni finally got married after he came out of water. And not one marriage, how many marriages did he have simultaneously? No, that is Krishna. Saubhari Muni had 50. He got married to 50 girls at one point of time. Of course, he is a mystic yogi, he can manifest those many number of forms. But Kamadev entered into his yoga practice and ended up defeating Saubhari. Dear devotees, often, even as devotees, we have what is known as incorrect attitude towards our practice of bhakti. We want to achieve something. What do we want to achieve, dear devotees? Anartha nivritti. What is the meaning of anartha nivritti? Removal of unwanted desires. But often we confuse anartha nivritti for vairagya. What is vairagya? Renunciation from the material world. Dear devotees, why should we become renounced?
So that we can become attached to Krishna.
There is no such precondition in Shastra. Didn't Ajamil get attached to Krishna? By chanting of Krishna's name. He was rescued from the Yamadutas. Didn't Dhritarashtra at the end of his life take to Bhakti Yoga? Dhritarashtra. Even at the end of his life, he practiced Bhakti Yoga and attained perfection. When we no. Okay. Dear devotees, many individuals want to practice vairagya, renunciation, for one reason. Please hear carefully. By practicing renunciation, we will become detached from this world. Yes? And if we become detached from this world, then very soon we will be able to get liberated and go back home, back to Godhead. Isn't it true? Of course. And my question is, what will we do after going back to Godhead? Do seva. In reality, why do many individuals want to go back home, back to Godhead? Wonderful. Dear devotees, ultimately it is about enjoyment. You see any religion around the world. Take for example Christianity. Christianity says that you believe in Jesus Christ as the only Son and Savior. You be a good Christian, and at the end of your life you will go to heaven. The question is, what will you do after going to heaven? Bolo, enjoy. So what was the final goal? Enjoyment. You take any form of religion, including in Vedic religion. You become an impersonalist, practice brahmacharya, get liberated, because after liberation, what will you do? Enjoy. So finally, it is about selfish enjoyment after this life. Dear devotees, Rupa Goswami calls this as Phalgu Vairagya. Please hear the definition of incorrect Vairagya from Sri Rupa Goswami. Prapanchikataya buddhya Hari sambandhi vastunah mumukshubhi parityago vairagyam phalgu kathyate. Prapanchikataya buddhya. This is material, this is material, this is material, this is material, everything is material. Hari sambandhi vastunah. You don't see any connection with Krishna. Why? Mumukshubhi, you very quickly want to go back to Godhead. Parityago, therefore you want to give up. The aim is to go back to Godhead, get liberated, so that after going there I will enjoy. Enjoyment is not in this world. Enjoyment is in the next world. Therefore, quickly become detached. This sort of Vairagya is known as Phalgu Vairagya. What is the meaning of Phalgu?
Selfish.
Huh?
Selfish.
Fake. In India, in the state of Bihar, there is a river named Phalgu. Huh. This river is upside down. Usually all rivers have water on top and sand at bottom. Phalgu river, if you see, there is sand on top, there is no water. You dig inside, a few feet inside, you will see flowing water. So you can see, you can search on Google, etc. The river, it is subterranean river. Sand on top, water underneath. Phalgu river. So this devotee who very quickly wants to get liberated, on the surface of his existence he is very dry, pakka renunciate. But if you dig little deep, inside his heart there is the desire to quickly get liberated and enjoy. I hope you are able to understand. This renunciation is specified by Rupa Goswami as Phalgu Vairagya. This is the translation. The complete rejection of all objects related to Hari by those desiring liberation in the spirit of considering such objects to be materialistic is known as Phalgu Vairagya. So very dry on top, but the desire to get liberated and enjoy is flowing underneath. This is Phalgu Vairagya. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur gives a big explanation about this. Now here, dear devotees, those of us who want, how many of us want to hear about Brahmacharya from Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur? Right? It is, he is, the most perfect Brahmachari that we can perceive of. In his college, when he was in his college, he once formed a group of boys and all of them took a vow of Brahmacharya. And by the time the college ended, only one person was remaining. And you can imagine who it was. Only the founder remained. Everybody else left. So what is in his understanding? What is so unique about his understanding of Brahmacharya that is not present with other individuals? It's very important to understand his idea of Brahmacharya. So today I am going to speak from Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's article. He wrote an article named Vatsasura. Vatsasura. Vatsasura is one of the demons who came to kill Krishna in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Vatsa has two meanings. One meaning is calf. Another meaning is small boy. A young boy is also called as Vatsa. So Vatsa Asur means the demon who came as a calf or the demon who came between the small boys. He is known as Vatsa Asur. When this demon came disguised as a calf, no boy could understand that this calf is actually a demon. Only one personality understood who that calf is. Who understood, dear devotees? Krishna indicated to Balaram. Balaram, do you see, this is a very special calf amongst us. Then suddenly Krishna said, "Arey, wow, what a nice calf." And then Krishna caught the legs of the calf and swung it around and threw it on a kapitha tree. Kapitha is, in English you call it wood apple. Wood apple. So you can search for what is wood apple. Kapitha tree. So all the wood apples fell down and the demon was dead. This is the short pastime. Now here Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's realization. Dear devotees, the English is going to be a little difficult. I will make it easy. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says that every demon in Krishna Lila represents some anartha within the heart of the sadhaka. Vatsasur represents lust. Because when boys become young, one demon enters within them. I hope you are able to understand. When Krishna's friends became young, one demon entered amongst them. Which demon was that? Vatsasur. Similarly, when sadhakas attain youth, they become young. In their heart, one demon enters. Which demon is that? Vatsasur. And Vatsasur represents lust. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's direct words. The neophyte is extremely susceptible to such evils. Which means that the new devotee is very easily caught by lust. And the new devotee tries many things to get rid of it. But see the conclusion given by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. They cannot be gotten rid of except by the mercy of Krishna. Only one person recognized who and where Vatsasur is. Who recognized, dear devotees? Krishna. So any other attempt to kill Vatsasur within the heart is not going to be successful. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur continues. Please hear. The scripture says, Shastra says, that it is not in the power of man to ensure the immunity of boys and girls from sensuousness except by the means of service to Krishna. What he means to say is, unless you are genuinely attached to Krishna, you cannot escape Vatsasur. He says this is declared to be the only effective and natural method. Any other artificial practice cannot be natural. The only natural method is to become genuinely attached to Krishna's service. Then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur speaks against the ordinary conception of brahmacharya. What is the ordinary conception of brahmacharya? That right now you renounce so that in the afterlife you will enjoy. And for that, he specifically speaks about the Christian religion. See here, the puritanic ideal of Godhead. He's speaking about the Christian religion, the church, is a conception which owes its origin to persons who are elderly. Mataji, it may find it difficult to translate this section, okay? But still you try, okay? Who are elderly, although honestly enough anxious to establish kingdom of God on this earth. In the Christian conception, they want to establish kingdom of God on earth. Amongst the Christians, they pray, O God, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Isn't it? So they wish to establish kingdom of God also on earth. But after going to the kingdom of God, what will you do? Enjoy. Therefore, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, but if you scratch the thin coating on the surface of their sage and sober scheme, if you scratch the surface of the philosophy, you only detect the rotten arrangement for securing the maximum sense enjoyment. The final arrangement is, I want to enjoy myself. Then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, the spurious brahmacharya. Does anybody know what is the meaning of spurious? Fake. Spurious brahmacharya, ideal, is misconceived by its worldly supporters. So this is what is spurious brahmacharya, false brahmacharya. Right now you renounce, later you enjoy. Please tell me, in this entire conception, right now you renounce, later you enjoy, is there anything to do with love of Krishna? Does it have anything to do with love of Krishna? Or is it full of selfishness? Isn't it? Finally, it is about whose enjoyment? My enjoyment. And for that purpose, I am sacrificing something right now. The Christian priests, they take a vow of celibacy. How many of you have seen celibate Christian priests? Yes, many of them, huh? And nuns also, they get married to Christ. You know, the nuns, they don't have a marriage. They get married to Jesus Christ. In other words, they remain celibate in this world. But you ask them one question. Would you like to remain celibate in heaven? No? In all religions in the world. There is also the Islamic concept of heaven, which is called as Jannah, Jannat. And the conception of hell, Jahannam. So those who believe only in God's chosen prophet, Muhammad, as the only messenger of God, and follow his path and reject all other paths, they will go to Jannah, heaven. And what will you do there? Enjoy. Yeah. There are tremendous promises of enjoyment in the afterlife. No service of God? No, primarily enjoyment. So dear devotees, anybody who becomes a brahmachari, celibate, in any form of religion, because of this mindset, is following spurious brahmacharya. He may be a Christian, he may be a Muslim, or he may be a Hare Krišna. Because finally, if the aim is after going back to Godhead, I will enjoy there, then the motivation is not correct. Often you ask devotees, what will you do after going back to Godhead? That I will figure out after going there. So that is not how it works. Unless we have a very clear idea of what seva we want to render to Bhagavan, why will Bhagavan give that seva to us? Dear devotees, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur continues. He says, the scriptures indeed tell us that everyone should serve Godhead from the womb. Dear devotees, what is he pointing towards? In the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is described how the living entity in the womb is upside down. At that time, the living entity cannot perform karma yoga, no jnana yoga, no ashtanga yoga. But in the womb, the living entity does something. Can anybody tell me what does the living entity do in the womb? Praise. He renders service to Bhagavan in the womb. Dear devotees, we were brahmacharis right from within the womb. Because what is the meaning of brahmacharya? According to Sanskrit grammar, please repeat after me. Brahma charati iti brahmachari. One who always dwells in the absolute truth is known as what? Brahmachari. So when we were in the womb, whom were we dwelling upon? Absolute truth. Dear devotees, we were brahmachari since our very birth. It is not an external designation. Then when we came out of the womb, for a few years we still did not have any contact with lust, because we were small children. Gradually Vatsasur took over our lives. I hope you are able to understand. Therefore, actual brahmacharya is not austerities and ascetic practices. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur says the ascetic dreams of obtaining mastery over nature by controlling his senses. What will you do by controlling your senses? I will become the master of my senses. There is no reference to service of Godhead in this. In this entire affair, there is no connection to seva of Bhagavan. Finally, he says something. We have had many occasions to explain that spiritual is transcendental. No material consideration can form any part of spiritual training or conduct. Any material training that you take, restricting your food, material activity or spiritual activity? Bolo? Eating less food, material activity or spiritual activity? Material. Sleeping on the floor, material activity, spiritual activity? It cannot form any part of spiritual training or conduct. Now this statement, after this you have to repeat after me. It is not a spiritual affair to be even able to control one's sex desires. There is nothing spiritual about being able to control one's desires. Then what do you want to say, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur? Please repeat after me. Such self-control is itself is indeed automatically produced by the awakening of the soul. So the day that the living entity becomes genuinely brahmachari, genuinely dwelling in the thoughts of Shri Krishna, genuine love of Krishna arises, that is the day the living entity finally becomes brahmachari. There is no other way of becoming a brahmachari, because the meaning of brahmachari is not one who renounces the world. The meaning of brahmachari is one who always dwells within the absolute truth. Brahma acharati iti brahmachari. So this is the meaning of brahmacharya. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, since his childhood, was immensely attached to the service of Shri Krishna. And this is the reason why he could remain a lifelong brahmachari. Because being attached to genuine love of Krishna produces that bhakti ras which makes all other rasas completely pale in comparison. Dear devotees, Sri Rupa Goswami will also say one thing. If somebody practices too many austerities for the sake of sense control, that also has a risk. This verse is usually not quoted. It is hidden inside Bhakti Rasamrit Sindhu. But today I will quote this verse. Sri Rupa Goswami says, when he is about to describe Madhurya Ras, which ras, dear devotees? Madhurya Ras. Please repeat after me Sri Rupa Goswami's words. Nivrittanupayogitva duruhatvadayam rasah. Nivritta anupayogitvat. This Madhurya Ras is unfit to be relished by those who are too detached. What do you mean, Sri Rupa Goswami? Sri Jiva Goswami comments. This is the direct commentary of Sri Jiva Goswami. He says, Nivritteshu prakrita shringara rasa samadrishtya bhagavatadapi asmad rasad virakteshu anupayogitvat ayogyatvat. Please hear. Jiva Goswami says, those who are too detached, they will think of all Madhurya Ras as being similar to mundane romance. So anytime topic of Madhurya Ras comes up, no, this is not for me. Jiva Goswami says, these individuals will stay away from Madhurya Ras even if it is given in the Srimad Bhagavatam. Oh, but it is romantic pastimes of Sri Radha and Krishna. No, it is not for me. Arey, but it is in the Bhagavatam. No, it is not for me. Then when will you relish? Not in this life. But Shukdev Goswami said in the beginning of the 10th canto, Nivritta tarshai rupagiyamanad. It is also for those who are materially attached. It is a medicine. But these people will not listen. Rupa Goswami says, because these people have taken the sandpaper of renunciation. You know what is sandpaper? You used to scrape the walls of paint, sandpaper. So they take the sandpaper of renunciation, they have scraped their heart so much. Now there is no capacity to relish bhakti ras. So the Gaudiya Vaishnava Vairagya, renunciation, is to actually develop attachment for Sri Sri Radha Krishna. the spectrum of love that is present in the pastimes of Sri Sri Radha Krishna is such that no ordinary human being can experience that spectrum of love. I will ask you a question, very simple question. Which is the biggest love story in the material world? Not spiritual. Which is the biggest love story in the material world? Romeo and Juliet. You know, what happens at the end of Romeo and Juliet? I think they both die, isn't it? Huh? Yes, both of them die out of love of each other. How many people in the world outside, the common people walking on the street, how many people have you seen who are experiencing the love that Romeo and Juliet have experienced? Are there many people here walking in Slovenia who have the fortune of experiencing the same intensity of love that Romeo and Juliet experienced? No. Sri Jiva Goswami says, Yadamita rasa shastre vyanji vaidagdya vrindam. He says in Gopal Champu, even ordinary mundane love that is described in the mundane literature cannot be experienced by ordinary people. What to speak of the spectrum of love of Radha and Krishna, which is like a huge ocean in comparison to that tiny drop of love in the material world. Once you start experiencing that with the full spectrum of love, full spectrum means separation till union and all the shades included in between. I told you, I specified yesterday how to experience it. You either see it in a drama or you hear it, and then the rasa starts flowing in your heart. Once you start experiencing the full spectrum of the rasas of love, and you know there is nothing like this to be experienced in the material world, automatically the knot in the heart is slackened. The jiva only accepts something if it gets something, some higher taste. That Krishna said in the Gita, Param Drishtva Nivartate. A jiva only gives up a lower taste after the jiva accepts a higher taste. The higher taste was bhakti rasa. Without genuine attainment of bhakti rasa, everything else is like scraping your heart with a sandpaper. So our brahmacharya is to attain genuine attachment to Sri Sri Radha Krishna. And therefore this brahmacharya is sustainable. So at this point I will pause my speech. Thank you very much. Yadatra skhalitam kinchit vidvamsah purayantu tat. Yadatra saushthavam kinchit tad guroreva menahi. If there's any mistake that I made, please correct any mistakes. But if you liked anything, please know that it was from my Guru Janas. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's direct words. May nahi. I did not write that article. He wrote the article. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Yeah.
The brahmachari or akhanda brahmachari, what is the meaning? Someone said akhanda brahmachari,
what is akhanda brahmachari?
Someone said after Grihastha brahmachari, ISKCON society said Grihastha brahmachari.
What is the meaning of akhanda brahmachari? Because there are eight types of breaks in brahmacharya. Prabhupada quoted the verse from Sridhar Swami. Smaranam kirtanam keli prekshanam guhya bhashanam sankalpodhyavasayascha kriya nivrittirevacha. Smaranam, to remember the opposite gender. First break in brahmacharya. To lustily remember, first break of brahmacharya. Kirtanam, to sing songs about love of the opposite gender. Second break. Keli, to flirt with them. Third break of brahmacharya. Prekshanam, to lustily look at them. Fourth break. Guhya bhashanam, to call them to a secluded place, to propose to them. Fifth break. Sankalpo, to decide that I will engage in sex. Sankalpa. Sixth break. Adhyavasayascha, to prepare everything for engaging in sex. Seventh break. Kriya nivritti, to finally engage in sex. Eighth break. These are 8 breaks of brahmacharya. And somebody who has not even had a single one of them. Khanda means break. A khanda. Without a single break. Brahmachari. But it is not by ascetic practices. It is only if you are genuinely attached to Smaranam Kirtanam Vishnu, Shravanam Kirtanam Vishnu, Smaranam Padasevanam, Archanam Vandanam Dasyam, Sakhyam Atmanivedanam. So it is not by ascetic practices. You can automatically attain Akhanda Brahmacharya by having Akhanda Smaran, Smartavya Satatam Vishnur, Vismartavyo no Jatuchit. This is one practice where Kamadev will not enter. Right? This is the answer. Thank you. One more, yes. Anybody? Yes.
You spoke about this principle, which is, of course, it's true that you have to have higher taste to become a brahmachari. What's the role of culture? Because it's also very difficult to become a brahmachari if there's no culture. I mean, if you're completely decided that you want to, then no problem. Somewhere, and you come for brahmachari training and everyone around is, hey Mataji, how are you? That's how, what's the role of culture?
In some cultures, it may be difficult or near to impossible to replicate the original Gurukul practice of brahmacharya. What to do? Sometimes we may fall into a difficult situation. Let's say somebody is genuinely trying to be a brahmachari, but the culture is difficult. They fall in a difficult situation where some desire arises within them. Question is, what does Krishna think about such a devotee? Would you like to hear about what Krishna thinks of such a devotee? Because forget about what society thinks. We are interested in whose opinion? Krishna's opinion. We want to know what Krishna thinks about such a devotee. Here is Krishna's opinion. 11.14.18 Badhyamanopi madbhakto Vishayair ajitendriyah Prayah pragalbhaya bhaktya Vishayairna abhibhuyate. You are able to read, Prabhuji? Translation, can you read?
My dear Uddhava, if my devotee has not fully conquered his senses, he might be harassed by material desires. But because of his unflinching devotion for me, he will not be defeated by sense gratification.
This is Krishna's opinion for those who are living in difficult cultures. That's good. But by the time the culture is formed, Krishna is still having this opinion. That even a devotee who has not controlled his senses, can you see it is said, because he has unflinching devotion for me. Krishna, what do you mean unflinching? What is the meaning of unflinching if he is flinching? The devotee is flinching in sense gratification and you are saying he has unflinching devotion for me. The meaning is that this devotee will still not give up the path and will remain one-pointedly dedicated to me, even though he is harassed by sense gratification. He will not take shelter of any other deity. He is one-pointed devotee. You can see the lenient mindset of Krishna.
No, that's true, but the other part is that if you don't have a proper environment, you have to devotees in the temple.
Of course. Therefore, Krishna said, I will say finally, Krishna said, in order to become successful in any practice, including brahmacharya, it is very important to have a proper place. 18.14 Bhagavad Gita. Adhishthanam tatha karta, karanam cha prithak vidham, vividhas cha prithak cheshta, daivam chaivatra panchamam. The place of action where you are executing brahmacharya, the performer, the senses, the many different kinds of endeavor, ultimately Krishna's desire. These are 5 factors for attaining success. If your place itself is not proper, then the first factor is mistaken. So try to make it as favorable as possible. Meanwhile, Krishna does not think negatively of you. Alright? Thank you very much. I was supposed to end at 9:15, but you can personally ask me, Prabhuji. Alright? Thank you so much. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srila Prabhupada